Hello and welcome to our special series on amplifying growth, achieving impact. I'm Pallavi from People Matters. Through our dialogues with industry experts as part of our exclusive video series in partnership with upGrad for Business, we aim to explore crucial issues like role transformation, reducing skills obsolescence, and enhancing employee engagement, which are instrumental in shaping an organization's business objectives. The learnings and insights gathered during these interactions will be compiled into a multimedia ebook titled How Do We Empower Organizations to Thrive in the New Age Economy, and will act as a guidebook to help you achieve effective growth journeys and thrive in the future of work. Today's session will try to explore how organizations can make the most of their resources by allocating the right roles to the right people. We'll talk on the importance of role transformation in this dynamic workplace as what we are witnessing. To discuss this and much more, we have with me Rajendra Mehta, President and Group CHRO, Welspun Group. He comes with comprehensive experience of 27 years in developing and executing strategic human resources agenda of organizations. Rajendra holds expertise in implementing world-class practices to transform organizations into high-performing and profitable entities. Welcome to the program, Rajendra. Quick thoughts on the entire concept of role transformation. What have been the skill sets that must have grown in demand over the last few months? Your insights.
Yeah. So thank you, Pallavi, and it's a privilege to be part of this forum today, where Minaxi and other colleagues from People Matters are there. So we've had some good experiences along with upGrad, Minaxi leading that initiative from upGrad, and from our side, we were trying to do our bit in terms of implementing certain things which are probably very important from Welspun's context. Now, smart factories typically is a essential element going forward. A lot of routine roles typically, which are very regular, mundane kind of in nature. They're there to get eliminated for sure in times to come. Now, what are the capabilities that will keep us relevant from the efficiency context point of view or cost context point of view? The necessary elements are that technology has to take over certain key aspects of the business for us to remain efficient and for us to remain competitive. The only way that we could think about really making our factories smart factories is to get to that journey, and the journey that we were thinking about is to include the all sets of employees, whether at the ground level where our workmen are working at the shop floor, and going upward in the pyramid to see whether your mid to senior management is equally excited about this journey and learning on the digital learnings aspect, because it is what we felt important was to really work at the mindset level so that people are ready to adapt to certain changes that we expect. Now, we have gone through the journey, but I think what good has happened is that we have embarked on a journey where transformation from a tech digital perspective has a very high degree of acceptance. Because what we were trying to tell employees is that get to this journey, because don't think about that we need capabilities for Welspun to do well. It is your journey of life as well. If you don't grow up in the career, then I think at some stage you will also go through this whole process of becoming redundant, and we don't want those things to happen. So this was a great opportunity from a role transformation point of view. I think we all need to really look at how would role accountabilities transform in say next 3 to 5 years. It is that process of visualization which is important. And in that process of visualization, we need to come to that, context of that what would change and what would need to be enhanced for the organization to remain relevant. So I think a lot of these activities we did with upGrad, and Minaxi is there. I think she can also throw up some light on the experience that she had with us.
Definitely, but I would like to just introduce Meenakshi to our audiences. Meenakshi is President upGrad for Business, and prior to upGrad, she's worked with market leaders like IBM, Cisco, SAP, LinkedIn, and Uber, successfully driving market expansion and customer growth. Meenakshi is a customer-centric business leader with almost 2 decades of experience across customer excellence and business growth. She's a strategic thinker, believes in aligning with customers' objectives to drive mutual wins. She's motivated by scaling businesses that positively impact customers and believes in empowering teams to deliver successful outcomes. I welcome Meenakshi into this conversation. But quickly, what has been your assessment of role transformation and its impact on the professional roles across business units?
So first of all, thank you for the lovely introduction, Pallavi and Rajendra. Truly a pleasure to be partnering with you, not just on this panel, but having had a frontline seat into the digital first ideology that you're bringing front and center to the entire Welspun as a group. Now, Welspun is a company that we all know about. We watch them from afar. But in the last year and a half, the way that we've seen Welspun teams speak about internal employees come and upskill themselves and bring significant and never seen before deployments at their own workplace has been nothing short of spectacular. So I'm glad that we've chosen this topic of role transformation, and we have Rajendra here driving the charge, because I can think of no better person in terms of this topic. Now with that, coming to the query that you put across to me, Pallavi, but let's look at pretty much the ecosystem that we live in today, and why is this topic so front and center for most of us. The recent World Economic Forum report actually said that 50% of the employed professionals will need reskilling by 2025, which is not very far away. And this is being done due to digital transformation. While this is on one side, we also see that a glaring 98% of the companies report significant skill gaps, and more so in data roles. While these are mind-boggling numbers, when you look at and speak with business leaders, they are very clear that most of their employees should learn about data skills on the job. And when you look at leadership, the other yarn to this thing is that what are employees talking about? 89% of the data employees say that they have the lack of relevant skills, and they see that as a hindrance to their own career trajectories and their own career transformations. While these numbers are alarming, the good news is that the skill gap conundrum that we are witnessing today can be reversed by investing in data and investing at scale. Now, this is really where, Pallavi, your query comes through. The role transformations that are being offered by companies can be the game changer, bringing role-based learning paths and transitioning newly open job roles within the organization can really help reduce the skill gap. Role transformation also has a very strong positive impact on employee retention. If we've seen anything in the last 2 years, we know how much of these employee attrition retention has taken the time of the leaders and the market at large. Keeping this in mind, I'd like to talk about 4 bullet points or 4 themes for our audience and for the companies that might be looking at us. First and foremost would be that businesses planning to grow their data teams at scale can pick and choose in-house talent that needs to be scaled, rescaled, upscaled. This will help get their role transformation initiatives kickstarted. So for example, when you're looking at data folks in an organization, they will have a high affinity to transfer not just horizontally, but laterally as well. In our experience, we've seen that an analyst can transition seamlessly into the role of a data scientist. An app developer or an ETL engineer can transition to become a data engineer. Your everyday operations folks can actually become artificial intelligence engineers with relative ease, provided there's organizational attention. The second one I'll talk about is role transformation is actually a very useful plan for performance improvement and succession planning. Making high quality online education available drives continuous earning in an organization. When run as an organization-wide policy, we've had our customers come back and talk to us that it helps them with about 20-24% increase in their profitability, now, which is very strong data point for us to lean into. Thirdly, when we look at employees, and when I look at sectors along with it, we notice that IT is more likely than other industries to upskill for role transformations. In fact, we did a survey with a major IT giant, and when we were kind of running this surveys, we realized that most of the people that they have in their data domains felt that they were not getting opportunities to grow, and that's why they were transitioning into other organizations. Now, when taken into account, this becomes a very big opportunity for companies, because you can not just build role transformation plays, but also make it a play around employee retention of your employees. Last but not the least, because we spoke about attrition, this is really prevalent in the 0 to 3 and the 3 to 8 year work experience bracket. Companies which offer a sense of belonging, training, and development along with a career path can create a very strong employee continuity here. We worked with companies and seen good results in manufacturing, banking, and ITITS. Pallavi, I'm hoping this kind of gives a holistic purview to your query.
Absolutely. In fact, talking of the evolving space of skills that we're talking of, Rajendra, in this entire phase or in this entire dynamics of evolving skill demand and investing in continuous learning and growth opportunities, it has actually become fundamental for companies. So when Welspun Group decided to initiate the data analytics certification program for its learners, what were the desired outcomes and what were the reasons, why upgrad for business was chosen as the partner for, or was the preferred choice for the L&D program? If you could, shed some light on that.
Sure. So, the choices that we had with us were either, probably hire resources from outside in the data space, and or develop your own internal resources. So typically a build versus buy kind of decision that organizations take in product parlance. We wanted to ensure that we upgrade our people, because it is important for us to ensure that our employees remain relevant for future. So it was the investment that we wanted to make on them. And when the kind of learning happens on the job, the relative ability to contribute in terms of respective units in which they work, that also starts to take shape very quickly. If an employee knows that within my work sphere, there are certain areas that can go through the automation process, and fortunately, those are the kind of projects with upGrad that we gave our employees to work on. And this led to a lot of stronger adoption of digital learning that they went through. So, so from the kind of, the aspects of whether we want our employee to learn and be relevant for future or acquire from outside. So we took this position because we remain committed towards employees and their welfare going forward as well. And that's our way to contribute in their life going forward. So that's the decision we made. Why did we choose upGrad? Because we believed that the content of upGrad had a great quality. upGrad generally comes with a great quality propositions, whether it was on the quality of content or the quality of trainers, and the content curriculum that we had built up had a strong quality context behind, and the kind of international relationships that they have in all these arenas are typically something that we wanted to leverage in creating content which was far more relevant for our teams. The one additional aspect that we probably chose, upGrad was because there was a trainer. This was a directed learning that we were attempting. Now, one way to say is that probably give the content to employees and they learn through. But directed learning actually gives more clarifications to employees with respect to their confusions or asks. So we chose, therefore, these were some of the areas because of which we chose upGrad as a learning partner.
Sure. In fact, it would be interesting to know from Minaxi, how did upGrad for Business support Welspun Group in this, and and not just the designing part of it, but also, how did you make sure that you're able to meet the unique learner needs and the implementation requirements? So, a bit on that, Minaxi.
Pallavi, I would say it actually takes two to tango. We always call ourselves extended arms of companies, and we take a lot of view from what a company is trying to drive. So coming back to the pointers that Rajendra spoke about, it was really that seed of an idea that we heard from Welspun, and we got very excited about it, because here we saw that a company was really not just investing in their employees, but really building this data layer. And that pretty much was a starting point. And when we started having these detailed discussions, we understood that Welspun's 2.0 vision was to achieve a certain growth by 2023 that make it very real and present for us. Innovation and digitalization were among the specific growth value drivers that they spoke to us about. It was imperative for the business to not only build awareness and a common vocabulary for data across the enterprise, but we also realized that deep skilling employees on data analytics to have a project-ready workforce for their planned data initiatives was really at the core of it. Even the cherry on top here was that this had attention from Dipali Goenka, their CEO and joint MD, making this a CEO priority across the organization. As we started working on this journey, we chose an appropriate platform that would help scale while we were delivering this training program without compromising on the quality rigor and giving them a common experience, because we had employees from different business unit, different experience level, and different teams coming together. Like Rajendra very aptly mentioned, we co-created this curriculum with Welspun and designed a rich and immersive learning program that was delivered by a mix of virtual and live modules. This had discussion forums, and this also had coaching sessions for the employees. To ensure that this went well, we also deployed student mentors at our end to gently nudge and motivate employees to bring engagement and keep them on track with the timelines, which were intense, I must admit. Given that it was in about an 8 to 12-month learning journey, it was very critical for us to ensure learner fitment, commitment, and engagement throughout this program. For this, we actually brought in 3 layers of governance model. First was strategic reviews, second was operational reviews, and third was learner or Welspun employee level excellence reviews. These 3 were the key groups that we identified, and we started building our communication with them. For example, with business stakeholders, we had quarterly reviews to share the learner progress and the feedback, along with insights into what's working, what's not working, what can we jointly improve upon. With our learning and development teams, who were our almost every day, every week contact points, the catch-ups were more frequent. Here we kind of went into the transactional part of it about what's the program health. We also had a real-time dashboard that we brought in. Last but not the least, we had conversations with learners, which were not just daily, but as frequent as the learners needed. So we had built a mechanism wherein any query, any input that was provided to them had to be responded in under 24 hours. And if you ask me, this trifecta, if I would, really helped with this program, and not in terms of outcomes, but also in terms of what we were able to do together. Along with all of these, we of course had a robust layers of our program management team, student success mentors, upGrad buddies, customer success managers. These were the folks at upGrad who were watching, monitoring, and really becoming advocates of the 100+ employees who went through this program. Pallavi, the reason I'm bringing attention to this is that at upGrad for Business, we obsess about measuring the business outcomes of every program that we drive. Rajendra, if I could, the outcome of this program, as spoken to us by Welspun, was that it led to automation of about 500+ dashboards. It created about 800 GB of data lake and replaced about 800 Excel sheets. This is phenomenal, and this was all done in-house by the employees.
Correct. You are right, Minaxi. Go ahead.
And Rajan, this was fantastic. I remember the conversation that we had with the team. We could see a heightened level of confidence and conviction with this 100+ employees that went into this. And I can't even imagine the amount of cajoling management that you would have had to do internally when we were going through this exercise.
But the best part was that employees themselves were equally keen. Because the sheer environment which is today, the learning on the digital is automatic. So there was a lot of internal motivation that employees had for this learning, And therefore, I think we could push. And there was a lot of live learning. And what we used to do, Pallavi, is that we used to give a monthly brief to our MD and CEO Dipali. And she was fully on board with everything that was happening on this learning, initiative. And, we also won Brandon Hall, the award for, having this co-created program on the digital area. And I think overall, what we intended is that typical, the textile industries are individually, they look to be very, lineage to that extent. But, if we were to go the path of, like Dipali keeps saying all the time, that are we the FMCGs of textile? And if that is the journey that we have to go through, it is a different, class of organization that we need to build. And Industry 4.0 was intended to be one of them. And, aligned backward was these kinds of initiatives that we started. And, there were 200 mid-management professionals who we trained through this initiative. And we also took this, ahead with workers training. That was a separate thing though. But we trained about 300, 400 workmen on the digital initiatives. So the intent is that across the organization, we are able to build the digital literacy, which is far more, which actually transform the organization for future. And from a transformed role, what do we look forward to? Apart from, the least to say is a cost reduction and efficiency. What one looks at is whether we are giving consumer the value that they are paying us, and are we creating an environment where the innovation takes leap ahead, and we are able to therefore create value for both employees as well as our consumers. So we are looking at from this transformation of roles, these are the end objectives to be met.
Absolutely. That quite sums up our company's long-term business goals. I'll come to Minaxi. We've talked about, how the program was designed and what have been the impact and, what are the perspectives in terms of the long-term. But also we want to understand what have been some of the challenges companies face, while they try to build L&D plans that can actually hinder the role transformation plan. So some insights on that.
There are many, Pallavi, but in the interest of time, I'll talk about the top three. So when we look at role transformation, it is about transforming the current role of employees by upskilling them. And it's broadly applicable across companies to improve the performance and to build a future succession layer. This means identifying the career projection for these roles in an organization is important. Although most companies agree that skilling is important, it is critical to have an understanding of the learning paths required to this transformation. And I call it a challenge because if we don't align these two, the learning engagements don't really translate into role transformation initiatives. The second one I would talk about is there are many challenges in scaling it. Digital transformation impacts the company as a whole, and it needs to be cared for as a whole as well across all levels of the employee life cycle. It's vital to reflect on the programs that we have, which can help transformation and scale together. It also needs strong L&D partners who have a diverse domain expertise, since it involves various companies, units, Welspun being a true case in point here. The third one I would talk about is when we start engaging on this, we believe in building trusted partnerships with leaders in the organizations who are both strategic and execution focused. It is critical that leaders who understand their business also start talking about the expected business outcomes that Rajendra has so beautifully articulated just a few minutes back. So if I were to recap this, the top three challenges would be, first, look at what's the sort of a career trajectory or a succession layer that you're talking about before jumping into role transformation. Second, any learning and development team member who's looking at it needs to think of scale across the employee life cycle and not just within one business unit. And third, absolutely leadership attention with a clear focus on what are we trying to achieve in terms of goals and in terms of quantification.
Sure. Lastly, before we let you go, Rajendra, can you kind of summarize or enumerate some best practices on how organizations can create effective L&D programs amidst this whole talk and the need for role transformation for better business prospects?
So I believe that the L&D best L&D practice typically is all about saying that there is a end business results that it is able to deliver, and the going forward the amount of transformation in the skilling that would be required would be humongous, which largely means that whether on the analytics side there is a change that is expected, or on the dark warehousing side there is a change expected, or on the drone side the whole delivery system that is yet to come by. So it is the organization's ability to therefore impart what is right learning, which is which is in the interest of the organization going forward over next 2 to 3 years, and I think go behind with a very concentrated effort rather than probably spreading the regular content and regular training programs. I think we need to be skilling our people for a very competitive capabilities that we need to build, which then becomes an edge in remaining relevant in the business context. We need to go after those kinds of capabilities, and it's like giving injection for a cure. This also has to be very focused content which can impact the thought process of an individual. So that's my view.
Sure. So on that note, any parting comments, Meenakshi, or maybe any lessons on empowering a future-ready workforce that you want to leave us with?
And I must say that I found this conversation very insightful, Rajendra. While being a partner of this, I would actually say that at Welspun, we saw such an amazing partnership between the CEO's office, entire HR and L&D held by Rajendra, and the business team and the data team led by Piyush. So when you saw these three coming together, it became like a wonderful triangle of us being very sharp in delivering what we could. And it's amazing to see this journey with Welspun. So thank you again for that, Rajendra.
No, it was a pleasure to have you with us on this journey. I think collectively your team it was again very diligent and responsive on all our needs. So thank you, upGrad. Thank you to all your team members.
I will definitely pass this on. I can assure you, my customer,
Sure.
this team is going to feel very good coming straight from you. Sure. Pallavi, just like the last comment, in fact, I was when you were asking me this question, I was reflecting on a recent study that I read from Forbes, which was talking about people will be more successful in the workplace of the today and the future, who invest in soft skills that relate to how you think, how you work, and how you communicate and collaborate with people. And while we've spoken a lot about data, the reason I would kind of bring this in is it's not just about what we know, but how we communicate and influence and persuade. So a few of the things that they were talking about is, in terms of strong role transformation, it's important that we also bring in elements of critical thinking, complex decision-making, emotional intelligence and empathy, curiosity and continuous learning, creativity. And it's interesting on how many of these start with C. Like, can we see into the future? And that's my intent at making a very bad pun. Again, just kind of coming back to your query, my last notes would be really look at through application of learning and development initiatives when you think of talent in a very holistic manner. Think about not just the skill sets or the tool sets, but what is really the organizational mindset that leads to this role transformations. And with this, pretty much we've got it home. Role transformation then would not really be a challenge, but par for the course as we go into the next year.
Well, it's been wonderful hearing from both of you. Thanks for sharing your your journey, your insights, and your learnings with us. It was great having both of you on the panel today.
Thank you, Balvi. It was our pleasure as well. Thank you.
Likewise, thank you.
There'll be much more exciting and impactful takeaways on empowering your organization's growth strategies to thrive in the new age economy. So for all of you all, stay tuned for our next discussion. Thanks for watching.